As students continue to stay indoors and maintain physical distance, it is important to consider the implications of our mental health during this pandemic. Continuing to stay in contact with friends while maintaining physical distance is crucial to staying emotionally healthy. The World Health Organization started using the term physical distancing over social distancing to stress the importance of staying in contact with your social circles.
Communication is so important when physically distancing because you really need that support structure, and often you can't have that when you're by yourself. I use FaceTime most commonly because it's honestly the most convenient way. I don't have to log on onto my laptop like I do have to for Zoom. It's most convenient since on my phone I can just go directly from messages to FaceTiming my friends anytime I want.
You can continue spending time with friends through FaceTime, Facebook, or Zoom calls. Zoom has offered their service free of charge to students in kindergarten through 12th grade.
It was my friend Joseph's birthday recently, so we threw a party for him over Zoom, and we played different games as well on Zoom so we can still have fun without being physically in each other's presence.
Netflix Party has become a popular Google Chrome extension that anyone with a Netflix subscription can use to stream with their friends and family. If you have a backyard, find something to do outside by yourself, like reading a book or doing classwork. If you don't have a backyard, you can still crack open a window. Lastly, it is important to remember that while these activities may help you improve your emotional health, it is highly recommended to speak to a professional like a therapist or psychiatrist if your mental and emotional health continue to decline.
During these uncertain times, one constant has kept 3 Athens Ridge roommates' bonds stronger than ever. Social distancing, but also their love of video games on the Nintendo Switch. The trio of Alex English, Roderick Ball, and Victor Gibson have been playing Mario Kart and Super Smash Bros. Together for about 3 years.
Well, go-to strategies kind of like maintain that second to first lead. Honestly, just have distance on them.
Ball's go-to character was Isabeau, notorious for her fishing rod antics, while Gibson leaned towards the character of Hero due to his many spells. English, however, stuck with Sonic because of his quick speed and agility. When asked how he was able to consistently win, Gibson said,
"It really kind of depends on what is going on in the match. So the way that Super Smash works, there's a bunch of different items that can drop. So just trying to really find the best way to combine the items that are dropped.
Just kind of let them be in the mix of CPUs. Because either CPUs can really mess you up, or they can just sit there and do nothing.
Well, you did a great job maintaining.
The tournament concluded, however, in Gibson's overall dominance, while Ball and English placed second and third, respectively. Despite losing, Ball's spirits remained high.
Just get better over time, you know. You can't win without losing a couple.
All in all, what a way to waste time in the comfort of their own home.
Around the world, students of all ages have been forced to halt in-person learning and have been instructed to stay at home and participate in online education. Henley Davis, an 8th grader at Wesleyan School in Norcross, Georgia, is not immune to this fact.
I think online has been a lot harder because I like being with my teachers and them showing me like, when they're right next to me, and it's really hard to do over email or over video chat, and the instruction is just not as good. Like, I've had a really hard time learning the material, and we've had lots of tests, and the tests are very hard. So, yeah.
Henley's normal school schedule would usually require her to get up at about 6 in the morning. However, now she can wake up whenever she desires and get her work done when she wants.
At the beginning of the day, I wake up and I print out all of my assignments via email, because for me, organization is one of the most important parts. So once I lay all of my work out and I organize it, I start to do it, and from there I can do it pretty quickly once it's organized.
While some of the instruction online has not been up to par with in-person learning, according to Henley, she has enjoyed being able to relax at home. After she completes her work, she loves watching TV, making/watching TikToks on her phone, and interacting with her friends through messaging, Snapchat, etc. Even though a lot of students, like Henley, have enjoyed the time at home to relax once their work is done, exam season is right around the corner, and due to poor online instruction, grades amongst students may drop. For Grady News Source, I'm Cullen Davis.
This week, as panic on low stocks at grocery stores due to COVID-19 set in for many families in Forsyth County, the Miranda family decided to share bags of food and canned foods to a nearby low-income home. Miranda's knocked on over 40 doors in an adjacent trailer park community. If the family didn't answer the knock, they left the bag of food at their door. Their family showed gratefulness and others shock.
¿Dónde eres? Esa es de Guatemala. Guatemala. Me gusta saludarles. Dios me la bendiga. Amén, amén, amén. Di hola, así, es así. Dios bendiga. ¿Tienen babies o no?
Passing out the food, the family was even visited by a neighborhood pet. The neighborhood members called him Pepe. The Miranda family tried to keep their distance, as did I, but they were able to help others also affected by the COVID-19 outbreak.
Zane Page planted these seeds 3 weeks ago, around when he started quarantining himself in Athens.
Here I basically have like a plastic container. I think I bought at Dollar General, and then I took a bunch of red Solo cups and I cut holes into them, kind of like this, I guess, and just to drain. So the idea is that instead of having to water over the top, you can just pour water into the side and waters from below, and so you don't disturb the seeds. Just something I saw on YouTube.
Zane also went to YouTube to learn tips on how to plant his peas and his tomatoes, which are growing already in the garden bed.
So go ahead and describe what these are.
So these are peas in a row. They're 3 weeks old, maybe 4. And then so I'm growing catnip, Roma tomatoes, jalapenos. I threw a top part of a red onion in there because I saw a YouTube video that said you could grow them, so I thought, why not? I'm growing cherry tomatoes, which are doing very well, a carnival blend of bell peppers, and then pepperoncinis, and I was trying to go habanero peppers, but none of them sprouted. And I'm also growing marigolds, and those are going to be really pretty, and they also keep insects away.
Watering them at least once a day, Zane waits patiently for these plants to grow and hopes to use them in his recipes soon. From Grady News Source, I'm George Zaliff.
Scott Eggleston is a special education teacher at Collins Hill High School in Gwinnett County, and like all of us, his life has changed tremendously due to COVID-19.
It's a lot different with not having face-to-face contact with students.
He, like most Americans, is trying to adjust to the new normal of working from home.
Oh, things really haven't stayed the same, working from home.
While teachers are learning to grapple with this new reality, so are students. Millions of them across the country are now doing full online learning, but that itself presents a unique set of problems.
Some don't have computers. A lot of them don't have printers where they can print the material. So you have to be able to send them work that they can do online and send back.
Students aren't the only ones doing the learning. Teachers are now back in the classroom.
Doug had any questions, I guess?
Probably the hardest part is trying to learn new techniques, I guess, to teach it. Every day we're getting stuff on try this, try that, go to this website, use this type, of videos, go to these videos. These are short videos that aren't real long.
And going forward, Eggleston says he thinks that this will have an impact on how teachers teach once they're back in the classroom.
It's something that is going to start to play a part of how we teach. I think there's going to be more and more teachers doing stuff, even in the school setting, of doing things on phones, computers.
Jared Eggleston, Grady News Source.
This year, Easter isn't canceled. It just looks a little different than normal. And people, like Minda Swenson, are finding new ways to keep the faith this holiday season.
This Sunday, we'll get up and instead of getting ready to go to church, we'll gather in the living room and listen to our service.
Some churches are even taking up the role of Easter Bunny to bring some fun to their local communities and ensure some traditions remain the same while filling Easter baskets 1 yard at a time. With Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's executive order in place through the end of the month, Swenson says it may be difficult to gather supplies for Easter baskets, but encourages parents to get creative.
I would think that parents would still do Easter baskets. I happen to be fortunate that my children are older, but for younger ones, like some of the ones we have in our family, we collected things that we had for them already, or things to make an Easter basket for them, and we plan on either dropping it off on their front porch or somewhere in the yard so that they can still get something from us on Easter.
But the biggest difference for Swenson is the number of places at her table this Easter Sunday.
This year, there'll just be the 4 of us that live at our household, whereas normally it's a family event with extended family and grandparents and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews. So this year, it'll just be just 4.
Her table may be a little less full on Sunday, but the preparations still continue.
Well, today we prepared a little bit for Sunday coming and got the house decorated for Easter and dyed some Easter eggs and made some treats.
Minda Swenson is trying to make the best of current situations and continue with the fun around her home, so her 4 have something to look forward to.
Bogart, Day 18 of Shelter in Place.
The precautions that I'm taking for the pandemic, of course, we're social distancing. We are walking around the small neighborhood with our dog in the afternoon. He doesn't quite understand social distancing. And then we are also sanitizing everything. Like we are ordering from the grocery store, and when we pick up our groceries, I bring them home and then I sanitize them all. I wipe the cans down with Clorox wipes. I even wipe the bananas with Clorox wipes. We've seen that most people that are dying are older people, and we thought about things we need to do, so we're updating our wills. And when we go pick up our groceries, I notice that people are going through the fast food drive-ins, so they're eating either just fast food or maybe microwaving frozen food. And that really is not very nutritious. So I decided that I would make a YouTube on how to cook very simple meals.
Here's a preview.
Hi, my name is Diane, and my husband thinks that cooking is basically just the microwave. So what I'm going to do is prepare a couple of fairly simple meals and put them on YouTube, so if he ever has to fend for himself, he will be able to go there and pull up a recipe and cook it for himself.
Wednesday, April 8th, Governor Kemp extended the statewide shelter-in-place order through April 30th. Plenty of time to watch Ms. G's full video on YouTube. For News Source, I'm Olin G.
COVID-19 has seemingly left the world at a standstill. But not for one collegiate athlete.
My name is Aaron Cleland. I am the graduate assistant at Montreat College for the women's lacrosse program there.
Her season was unfortunately cut short, but she still works with her coaches every day.
And obviously, it's been a very odd season to start off your career with.
She spent nearly her whole life playing soccer, but in order to become a graduate assistant, she had to switch to lacrosse, a sport she has little experience with.
I have never played lacrosse on an organized team.
She spends a lot of time outside this door, sharpening her skills or just staying in shape. Then she goes back inside to work on the semantics of coaching.
From the coaching standpoint, all we can really do is recruit hard for the 2020 class.
Which is much easier said than done.
You're not allowed to have anyone on campus.
She is by far not the only athlete affected by this pandemic.
On the team, there were 2 seniors on Montreat's team, and I know when they got the news that the season was canceled that they were just to pieces.
The lacrosse team's eligibility was given back, but she still has some advice for any athlete who is affected by this pandemic.
You did lose a part of yourself with losing that season, but you're able to gain more from it by giving back to the younger generations and just keeping the sport going on forever and ever.
For Grady News Source, I'm Ryan Cleland.
It's a busy time for Scott Shelton as schools closed and classes moved online to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Me and my wife, we're both working from home, so we're having to do our work, and in addition, we have to instruct our kids.
The over 100,000 students in DeKalb County schools must remain home after the district closed their doors on March 16th. According to U.S. Census Bureau data, about 82.9% of DeKalb County residents had internet in 2018, leaving several residents without online access. This is just one problem facing schools when it comes to virtual instruction.
Although the online classes are helpful, I don't think it gives the students an opportunity to ask questions. The teachers can't see the students face to face, so they're not really paying attention to who's not picking up some of the information being taught. But at the same time, it's better than just canceling school altogether. So I get the circumstances we're in, and it's unfortunate.
It's an overwhelming situation for families around the country, including the Sheltons.
What's been tough on my kids as a whole is the amount of work that they've been given. Like the teachers will assign, let's say 15 assignments that will be due at the end of the week, Monday through Friday, and that can be overwhelming, especially to a young child.
Despite the concerns of virtual learning, Scott Shelton hopes his kids will be able to succeed with a good support system.
Some of the students have been chatting with each other on understanding some of the work, so I think that's a positive.
The Sheltons continue to be positive and hope others do the same by coming together during this time. For Grady News Source, I'm Shania Shelton.
The Zeta Psi chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is the first Black sorority on the University of Georgia's campus. The ladies in this chapter pride themselves on sisterhood, scholarship, and service to their community.
When our chapter members are in other places, they never mind helping out wherever they are. So we all kind of hold Zeta Psi works dear to our heart.
Before the semester was cut short by the massive pandemic of COVID-19, the Zeta Psi chapter worked on a 13 Days of Service initiative. The chapter has now challenged its members to complete safe acts of community service from their hometowns. Devin Butler took her talents to make masks for elderly people.
Because it's like masks are now really important, and unfortunately it's become a thing where masks are now really expensive because they're in such short supply. So if I can make one and just give it to somebody who needs it, then that's way more important to me.
When students were on campus, the Zeta Psi chapter was conducting a fitness challenge called The Biggest Loser. Now they have taken the program and made it virtual.
Your body's immune system needs to stay as healthy and as strong as possible. And I think a good way to do that is to not only eat healthy, but to also exercise and keep your body in its physical best shape.
Zeta Psi has taken their advocacy work to social media. Their social media campaign has included messages on social distancing, staying healthy during quarantine, and more.
Having things you can still do together, even though you can't be together, is still very important. People really enjoyed our last Chopped activity just because it was like something interactive that you could do with your friends, even though you couldn't see them. So giving people something to do, trying to educate people as much as we can, considering that we're not interacting with each other.
For many people, going outside is essential for their day-to-day lives. Now, it's become a tough decision. The coronavirus has affected millions of people across the globe, and many are adjusting their daily routines to adapt to the new condition. Local Stone Mountain resident Myrna Jones describes the steps she takes before leaving out the house.
I'm having to be conscious to wear my mask when I go out.
grocery shopping, keeping social distances, wearing my gloves, as well as when I walk in the park, I keep my social distancing from the virus by staying away from others.
Many states, including Georgia, have adopted shelter-in-place laws to inhibit the spread of the virus. Toiletries and other essentials are flying off the shelves. Gloves and face masks that are typically worn by healthcare professionals are seen being worn by everyday citizens. Ms. Jones tells me that she fears for her own safety and the safety of her own family.
The fear that I have for myself is not being able to hug my family, see them on a day-to-day basis by touching, feeling, sitting down for dinner. It just really have me shook to the point where I'm just trying to remain calm and just take it day by day.
Xavier Hood, Journalism 3280.
Silence is what you'll hear across the United States. The coronavirus, now referred as COVID-19, has caused a global pandemic. Millions of Americans are left isolated, and Georgia couple Amber Young and Travis Redmond are worried about what the future holds.
I'm most worried about my family for sure, because half of my family is in a hot spot in South Georgia, Albany, Georgia. And the other half of my family is actually in another hotspot, New York.
According to the New York City Health Government website, there are over 131,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases. According to the New York Times, Georgia has over 7,300 cases throughout the state. Since the virus struck, Redmond found unique ways to maintain interaction with his close family.
They were at their door and I was just in the driveway. And we just chatted for like 45 minutes.
Young is considered to be lucky because her job has allowed her to work from home. However, many Americans cannot say the same. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, approximately 10 million Americans have filed for unemployment in the past 2 weeks, with 6.6 million filing just last week. Despite the seemingly dire situation of the coronavirus, Young and Redmond have found other ways to occupy their time, such as playing video games, reading, cooking, playing with their cat Kita, and working out. As they keep the appropriate distance from strangers, they do a myriad of exercises in the park and even do some at home. But whenever they need an extra friend to hang out with, they'll always have Kita. Trey Young, Grady News, Athens.
Governor Brian Kemp signed an executive order that closed all Georgia public schools for the rest of the school year due to the coronavirus pandemic. In Callahan, Georgia, thousands of students will be learning from home using their iPads and computers. For students, this abrupt decision changed the way they learned and interacted with the material. Armando Garcia, an 8th grade student at Ashworth Middle School, had to adapt to the new changes to learn from home.
Well, I don't really like it because it's not the same thing as being in a classroom and them teaching it differently than by reading it.
After having a rigid schedule in school, students are now having to find a new routine to get work completed. Armando's brother, Roberto, also sat down with me to tell me his experience.
I don't like it that much. It's hard to learn stuff without the teacher helping me.
Teachers and students are learning how to use online platforms like Schoology or Google Classroom to teach their students. Gordon County Schools administrators have relaxed their grading policies as an effort to help students out. Superintendent Kimberly Fraker in a press conference said, "It is the intention of the Gordon County school systems that we provide to the best of our abilities a meaningful educational experience through at-home learning for all students. For students like Armando and Roberto, this will be the new normal for them." From Grady News Source, I'm Adalberto Solis.
Over on College Station Road, the UGA's Veterinarian Teaching Hospital has a special ring to it, all thanks to a certain bell. However, this bell was not always so proudly mounted here at the Small Animal Hospital. In fact, it wasn't until Rhonda Nally, a client of the hospital, brought her Havanese Cooper here for treatment. Cooper was diagnosed with lymphoma in 2017, underwent chemotherapy, and as he entered into remission, Rhonda noticed the hospital was missing something.
I said, "You have a bell to ring, right?" And they said, "A bell?"
Typically, when a human cancer patient completes their chemotherapy treatment, the hospital has the patient ring a remission bell to celebrate that they're on the road to recovery. Unfortunately, Rhonda knew all too well about this process.
My dad died of colon cancer. My mother survived kidney cancer and lived into her 90s. In 2006, I was diagnosed with carcinoid cancer.
Rhonda's personal experience with cancer and the joy that the remission bell brings to many human patients drove her to donate a bell to the UGA Small Animal Hospital.
It's for the other people who've gone through what I did, and I hope they ring it for a long time.
Unfortunately, Cooper's cancer returned and he passed away in June of 2018. However, his legacy lives on through this bell that Rhonda donated in his name.
Cooper was just the most, if he was a person, you'd call him vivacious. He had personality plus. I have never seen a dog like that with so much love to give.
And he has given that love to many other families who now ring the bell in Cooper's memory.
During the COVID-19 quarantine, cooking can become boring and tedious. The 349 resident Kenneth Froke has created a breakfast dish that is both tasty and easy to prepare. All you need is bacon, eggs, hash browns, cheddar cheese, and pepper.
I came up with the breakfast bowl after going to Waffle House with my friends a few times. Just one of the items they have on the menu. And since this coronavirus hit and we've all been forced to stay at home in quarantine, I just decided to make it at home instead of driving to Waffle House every time to get my food picked up.
Make sure and set the oven to 450 degrees and bake until golden brown, which is usually about 7 minutes. Cut the bacon into 1-inch pieces before frying.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy dish to make. All you do is put the tater tots in the oven, and they pretty much cook themselves. They're already seasoned, so you don't have to mess with them too much. When you take them out of the oven, all you do is just cut them up a little bit so they're more like hash browns at the bottom of the bowl. Other than that, all you do is scramble the eggs, which I feel like every college student knows how to do, and fry some bacon, which if you're down south, you've pretty much grown up with that your whole life, knowing how to cook bacon, and sprinkle some cheese on it. It's as easy as that.
The Rainey household has a new member. No, not him. Her. This is Chloe, and she's already found herself in some trouble.
She dug up the pond liner and the wiring, and she dug up a bush and kind of a hole to China.
That's one owner's recounting of events so far. And for the other?
Well, she's cute and adorable until I found out how much she likes to dig. So she's torn up a few plants, dug a few holes, made a few messes, but you know, I was reminded she's still a puppy. So we got to work through that, I guess.
Jeff's calling on his parenting experience and finally realizing that patience also applies to dogs, not just children.
You know, it takes a lot of patience, just like with kids, to raise animals, and so she needs a good home. So as long as we can start working with her and training her, you know, she deserves a chance, I guess.
When asked to give a percentage chance of the likelihood of keeping Chloe, Nicole didn't hesitate.
99.9. I think we'll keep her.
Jeff, on the other hand, gave a slightly different answer.
That means I still got 1% chance of not, right?
For Coronavirus Quarantine Locked in Your House News Metro 1, I'm your reporter, Seth Rainey, signing off.
In these times of social distancing, things can get a little boring around the house. Luckily, the Cohn family has a fun pastime to keep them busy during isolation. the predominantly Midwest and Northern card game of euchre.
My first memory of playing euchre really is playing in high school during the lunch hour with my friends. It was my friends in high school that kind of got me more involved and interested in the game. Debbie, my wife, and I knew how to play, and to try to get the girls to learn was like pulling teeth. But once they learned, a light bulb went off and they loved it, and it's kind of our favorite pastime now is to play euchre.
Similar to the game Spades, winning euchre relies on earning at least 3 out of 5 possible tricks per hand using the trump suit for that round. But euchre only requires the cards 9 through ace of each suit, leading to a particular way of dealing.
The deal is always 3 cards, alternate 3 cards, and then 2 cards to the next player. So typically it's 3 cards, then 2, then 3, then 2. Some people will deal 3 to everybody and then 2 to everybody, but rarely do you ever see the standard deal where you deal 1 card at a time.
With one member of the Cohn family married and moved out, the remaining 3 researched and learned how to play a 3-person version of their favorite 4-person game during quarantine to spend more time together.
My favorite thing about euchre is family time. And we play it when the family's together, and we play it in holidays, and we get many laughs, and it's great. It's a great game.